See if Jazzy's with us. We've got people joining. Hi guys, thanks for joining. Hopefully Jazz will be with us soon. Just wait a couple of minutes for her to join in. Jazz is here. Right, here we go. Let's invite. She'll be with us in a second. Hey!
I always get nervous like every time something goes live or something technology. I'm always like, is it going to work? So if it works, I'm always happy.
Excellent. Well, you can chill now, Jazz. You're live. You're with us. Thanks for joining us today on the call room.
I know. Thanks for having me.
How are you, Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough few months for so many people. And for me, the past couple of weeks, especially with gyms starting to open, things like pools opening and things happening, I'm starting to feel back to normal again. So I'm like, I'm starting to feel back to my normal routine, enjoying things a bit more, starting to feel myself again, because obviously it was so tough for everyone. And obviously I'm very lucky that I could do other things, and I'm just trying to keep myself busy and wasn't as kind of in such a tough position as a lot of other people. But yeah, it was a tough few months. What about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Just sort of like you, really. I went through a roller coaster, really. You go through highs and lows, and definitely went through that through lockdown. Those days, and I was, I don't know what's going on and stuff like that, and a bit unsure. And then you come out of it, and you're like, you sort of do different things that you maybe wouldn't have done normally. But yeah, no, good. And like you say, things are opening up now, so it's nice to sort of get back to a normal. Although pools aren't quite open, some aren't, some not, so that's weird. But yeah, no, good. Thanks for asking.
Oh.
So the first question that we ask on the call room each week is, what type of call room athlete are you? Now, whilst you just think about that, I'll just quickly explain. The call room, for those that aren't sure, is the room that athletes go to before they compete. And it's where they physically and mentally get prepared to race at their best. So, Jazz, take it away. What type of call room athlete are you? What you like in the call room?
I mean, I think I was a bit of a mix. Normally quite focused, I was quite like a visualizer. I like to visualize the race, how it was going to feel and all that kind of stuff, thinking about my race plan and all that kind of thing. But on the other hand, like if there was familiar faces and people I'd know, I would chat a little bit too. But if I was when I get quite nervous, I normally go very quiet. So I think the more important the competition, or the more nervous I was, it was definitely the quieter and probably more reserved I was in the call room. But yeah, obviously a lot of the girls in the call room I know really well and are really good friends actually. So obviously you get to know everyone, and it's actually nice that even though that is quite a stressful environment, being in a room full of people you're about to race against, you do actually become friends with a lot of them. So that's quite nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I always knew what type of call room it's going to be in terms of which event I was going up for. And I went up, especially up north. I used to race with Ellie Faulkner. Amy Wilmot came over a couple of times and raced with her, and that call room was always really fun. And so there's different call rooms, different things. But I don't know if we were ever in the call room together. Maybe if our events were on the same day. But I do remember you being quiet, but then also having a joke. So I was interested to see what you were going to answer that one with.
Bit of a mix.
Yeah. So now that question's out of the way, just a quick, if you could, Jazz, just give a quick introduction now. If people don't know who you are, then they're lying, because everyone knows Jazz Carlin. She's obviously a phenomenal athlete, but just give a quick intro to what you've done in your career.
Yeah, so like most people, learned to swim when I was 5, kind of progressed through squads. But yeah, I made my first GB senior team when I was 18 as a relay. I managed to get a bronze. So yeah, just progressed really through the years and managed to win medals at Commonwealth Games, European Championships, World Championships, and then finishing off really with 2 silvers at Rio. So yeah, it's been a bit of a mix. And towards the end of my career, I tried out some open water too, so the 10-kilometer swim. So yeah,
That's a long one.
yeah, still now I've retired, still enjoying. I said the other day, I'm enjoying the sport and swimming more than ever now. I think maybe the lockdown and not being able to do it for so long, the weather, like a mix of everything, and I'm actually loving it. So yeah, actually kind of loving the swimming now, but in a different way. So kind of done a bit of a full circle really with swimming.
Yeah, nice. And we'll definitely touch on that in a bit. But the first part of the quorum, I like to do quick fire questions. So don't think too much about it. Just go with whichever answer you decide. I'll throw a few curveballs in there. So
I'm not good with quick fire. Like I always it, and I'm like, why did I say that? That isn't like my favorite food or whatever.
Well, if you think if you answer one and you think, oh no, then change it. That's cool. But don't think too much about it. So we're gonna start. Race outside or race inside?
Inside.
Are you sure?
Racing, yeah. Training,
okay.
All about outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, getting the tan and all that, definitely. And Speedo or arena?
Speedo.
AM or PM? So
PM.
Training, AM or PM? PM. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Individual bronze or relay gold?
Oh, that's tough. Probably relay gold. Relay gold.
Cooking or baking?
Cooking.
A dog with a cat's personality or a cat with a dog's personality?
A cat with a dog's personality. I've got 2 cats, but they're lovely. You know, they've got great personalities. I wouldn't change
them. Kick or pull?
Pull.
Thought it might be.
No chance.
I knew that was coming.
Kick, not my strongest.
Social kick though, that's good.
All about the social kick, not so much the hard kick sets. You'd always find me at the back every time.
Funniest in the room or smartest in the room?
I wouldn't say either, to be honest.
No, but would you like? Come on, Jazz. Of course, both.
Am I the funniest in the room or the smartest?
Would you prefer to be the funniest or the smartest?
I'd rather be the funniest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already are though, pretty much, don't you think? No.
No, I don't think so. I laugh at people's jokes, but I don't find I'm the funny person telling the jokes.
Yeah, well, you are. So that's racer or trainer.
Racer.
Weights or circuits?
Weights. That's only changed recently. I used to much prefer circuits when I was a swimmer, and now I much prefer weights. And to do a circuit is like, oh.
Oh, really? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think like when I was swimming, because weights can get you quite sore, you know. Even now, I'm like walking around and I'm like, ah. So like doing weights and trying to swim and do like 8K in a session twice a day, so like 16K of swimming while being that sore from all the weights. No. So yeah, I'd say weights now, but it would have been circuits before.
Fair enough. Movies or TV series?
TV series, I think.
Any in particular that jump out?
Bit of everything, you know. Like, I love a crime drama.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. An aisle seat or a window seat?
Aisle. I've got long legs. They need to be extended.
Well, it's either long legs or needs a wee frequently, or both.
I do need to wee frequently too. That's a good point. Yeah, so aisle every time.
Pool or open water swimming?
Ooh, that's a tough one now. When I swam, I'd definitely say pool. More so now, I'd say probably open water.
Okay.
When it's sunny, I'm a fair weather swimmer, you know, when it's nice outside.
Yeah.
Whereas in the winter, I'm all about being in a nice warm pool.
Yeah, of course, 100%. I'd choose open water if I was in Thailand, where the sea is clear and the beach is white sand. You know?
If there's any jellyfish, I'm out of there.
That's true. Ponsforge, London Aquatic Centre, or Glasgow Pool. I don't know what the Glasgow name is.
Tollcross, is it?
That's it, Tollcross.
Probably London Aquatic Centre, even though I've actually got quite sad memories there, because that's where I didn't qualify for the London Olympics. But I came back a few years later and swam well there, but I just love the pool and you get such a good feel when you're in it. Obviously, Glasgow got amazing memories winning Commonwealth Games there, but I'd probably say the London one's my favourite.
Fair enough. Just to touch on that, Glasgow's memory at Jewel in the Pool is one of the best memories.
One, I didn't think about.
And we got the crowd going and all that. I've got one. I know the answer to this, but I just want to upset some Manchester City fans. Man United or Man City?
Of course, it's got to be Man United.
It has to be. And the last one, well, say the last one, sweet or savoury?
Everything. Can I eat everything?
Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed to eat everything.
Depends on the day, you know, a bit of a mix.
Yeah, yeah. And the last question, I've not asked any guests this before, but I tend to ask this to my friends. How many times do you lock the car when you get out of the car?
Lock the car?
Yeah, so do you get out of the car and you press the lock button? Do you press it once?
No, a couple of times.
A few times, yeah. So it shows confidence to do it once, doesn't it? Once, sorted.
See, I get nervous, like when I lock my house door. I probably shouldn't be saying this on Instagram Live. I lock my house door and I actually get nervous. I like get to my car and I'm like, wait, did I lock it? Like,
Did you lock the door?
Sometimes I have to go and just like give it a quick check, but always locks it. It's just in my head, you know.
It's just in your head. Did you ever in training? I did this a couple of times. Wonder if I'd lock the car and worry then in the session.
Oh no, I never had that.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was
that's
too
good
busy
then, because you were in the pool a long time.
Yeah. Couldn't be thinking about that. Couldn't be thinking
No,
about that.
well, I'm glad you didn't. Okay, so that's the quick fire rounds done. I got some really good questions in for you, and the first one that I got in that I wanted to ask first was, did you ever think you'd actually get that far in swimming? Because you got far.
I think, did I ever think I'd get that far? No. Probably like as a youngster, when you get so many knockbacks and like people saying, oh, you're not good enough, or your technique's not good enough, or it kind of, you start to then believe it, you know. So I don't know, like I don't think, I always had that dream to go to the Olympics, but to actually do it and go on, I don't think I'd have expected to maybe go on and to win 2 medals. But I guess it took me to the age of 25, whereas a lot of people, it's like young, like my first Olympics at 25 is seen as quite old. Yeah, it took me maybe a bit longer than a lot of people, but I wouldn't have changed it, you know. It's all about the road, the highs, the lows, and it makes it that bit more special, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your journey's always an interesting one, and it always has been for me, because you had lows and highs, and you were later, and your first Olympics at 25, like you just said. A lot of people say, oh, you know, first Olympics is just sort of feeling for it, and people don't normally medal and stuff like that. And then there's people like you that are just like, they do medal, I'm going to prove it, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, but obviously I went at 25, first Olympics, and like I did have a bit of a wobble like a few days before to my coach, and I was like crying, like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, it's the Olympics. So like, even though I was probably older, wiser, so much more experienced going into my first Olympics, going to 5 world championships or whatever before, and all this kinds of stuff. But when you're actually there, you still get like that nervous feeling, I guess. So yeah, still had all those wobbles, you know, as you know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're human, aren't you? So, you know, the fact that you did that and you dealt with them is amazing. Next question, and I'm pretty much sure I know the answer, but I'd just love to hear about it a bit more, is your best moment of your career?
Oh, I always find
there might be a few.
I always find this really tricky. Like,
okay,
Rio, I think the first swim to do a best time, knock a second off my best time in the heats, and then a second off again in the final. So a 2-second best time in one day in the 400, and to get first silver, first kind of race, first event. I think that was like a really special moment, and like to be able to do it and be at my best at the kind of world stage, because a lot of people will be going to all the competitions to be at the best, but to be able to perform, I think it's quite hard for people to understand. To perform at that day and to be at your very best is so tough. So for it all to come together on that day was really special. So that's definitely up there. And I think probably Glasgow Commonwealth Games winning gold is probably up there as well. I remember like it was so close. There was 3 of us, Lauren Boyle and Brittany McLean. And we're all in a line in 800, so 8 minutes of swimming, and we're neck and neck. And then the last 100, and I remember just kind of putting down the pace. And I remember looking and I was seeing the Welsh team cheering me on, the Scottish team cheering me on, the English team. So it was like, even though at Commonwealth Games where like all separated, everyone just came together, and that feeling at the end, and have my family there to support me. That was probably up there. I think those two I'd go with.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and both times I just remember watching and just being so excited, nervous for you, but excited obviously at the end. And just, yeah, no, absolutely amazing memories, not just for you, but for us lot as well. So thanks for that, Jazz. So my next question that I got for you was, do you fancy going into Tri or Ironman?
Well, obviously I did my first one, at Lanzarote Volcano Tri. Was that the one?
Yeah.
So that was Olympic distance. So 1500 swim, 40k bike, 10k run. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it hurt a lot. I remember on the run and I was like, Quigley, I need a wee.
I remember.
Literally running 10k and like getting stitched and I would like to do it, but I think people think now if I do another sport, or if I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this, they think, oh, she's going to go for it. She's going to be so competitive. Whereas for me, it's now about finding sports that I enjoy, doing it for enjoyment, doing it for the love, and doing it for the feeling that you get afterwards of thinking, oh, I've just done that event or whatever, like cycling London to Paris last year, and the feeling at the end, and like, I just loved it. And even though it wasn't a competition or a race, it was just getting through it, and I loved it. So would I do I would do another triathlon. I would potentially look at doing a half Ironman if I did one, maybe first. That would be the stepping stone. But nice. I guess as an athlete, you're probably the same. It's like all or nothing. It's like to dab your toe in a little bit, and not train, and being so busy. Like, I'd have to commit a lot of time to it to actually be okay, because I want to feel good in it. It's as weird as that sounds. I would want to feel quite good when I do it. I don't want to like just get through it where it's like absolute pain.
Get to the end.
I mean, that would be a great achievement, but maybe a half Ironman. That would be the first thing that I'm not going to say I'm definitely doing. Maybe.
No, I was going to tie you down then. Right, you said it.
I'm doing it.
Oh, nice. No, I think I watched you for your first triathlon in Lanzarote, and that was very impressive. So I have no doubts that you'd be great at it. But like you say, it's enjoying it and all that sort of stuff.
Because in Lanzarote, I would have said my bike would have been my weakest by a mile, because I'd only got I hadn't even had my own road bike. I'd rented one, and well, you were there with me.
Yeah.
And you were there for my first time on a bike, so road bikes. That was January, and I did the triathlon in May. So obviously, a few months of a bit of bike training and trying to get used to the bike. I would have said bike would have been my weakest. Whereas now I'd say, well, I've been doing a lot more bike training. I haven't been running as much. So I'd probably say the run would be my weakest one right now.
Mm-hmm. I think that'd be the same for most swimmers. But still, you're impressive at it. So, who knows, Jazz? Who knows?
I wouldn't say impressive.
Just keep enjoying it.
Yeah,
I would. But, we can agree to disagree on that then. So we're going to go to the other end now. You've done your best moment of your career. What's been the lowest moment of your career, and how have you got over it?
Yeah, I think obviously missing out on the London Olympics was the biggest disappointment, because I was missing out on games where everyone was talking about for the years in the lead up was the excitement. It was in London. It was the home Olympics, once in a lifetime. To miss out on that, and to have glandular fever and be ill all the time, and having to watch the Olympics on the TV from the site, and like not being a part of that. It nearly pushed me away from the sport. I was nearly like, I'm done. But took a few months out and did get back in. And I think sport is full of testing times, challenging times, and it's pushing you to kind of make decisions and to really test you. And that was definitely my biggest test. But again, like looking back, would I change it? I probably wouldn't. I would have loved to have gone to the London Olympics, but it teaches you so much about your character, and you learn so much about yourself and how to deal with certain situations. And it gave me that bit more determination even at Rio to go on and push even harder. So it's a tricky one really, but I think that was definitely the toughest part, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I was just going to say, like you've just said, would you have gone on then to Rio and won 2 silvers? Maybe not, you don't know. But But I like to try and believe everything happens for a reason. And so, you know, as devastating as it will have been, then you know, you went to Rio and smashed it. So so that was ace. I know that you went through some illnesses as well, and possibly injuries as well in your career, which are hard to get over. And I always get questions from people of how to get over, you know, those situations. I know that's quite a broad question for illness and injury, but is there like just a couple of tips maybe, or just how you sort of got over those things?
Yeah, I think for me, the main ones were illnesses. I had the odd few injuries, but it was illness that used to kind of break up my training or would set me back. And it's tough. It is tough when you're not being able to do something that you love and you want to do, and like something stopping you back, illness, injury, or whatever. So it can be really tough. But I think being able to be patient, I think, is a really important one for me. It's so tempted when you had a bit of illness or injury just to rush straight back. It's the similar kind of situation that we're in now, not swam properly for a while, and trying to rush back, and you think, oh, I'm going to try and catch up all those missed meters or try and rush back to it. But you just got to try and be patient and build yourself back in, you know. I think that's really important one. And yeah, just trying to do those little things right. If you control all those smaller things, like getting enough sleep, eating the right foods and getting in good nutrition, your physio and all those kinds of other bits, just do all the little things right, and then your swimming will come. And as long as you're in control of all the other stuff, like for me, I'm a huge sleeper, and I knew that if I didn't get all my sleep, either illness or something would be happening. So and I wouldn't feel great. So I think having to focus on those smaller things, but they can make such a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. And some good things there for our younger athletes and for older people as well. Get your sleep. It's important.
I love sleep. I love it.
Tom Bruce just wrote 2 legends. Thanks, Tom. I think Jazz is a bit more of a legend than me, but I'll take it. But yeah, no, I hope you're good, Tom. Now, Jazz, this is an important question. My family, speaking from my family, we are huge fans of Jazz Carlin. Massive fans, but one of the reasons we love you so much, Jazz, is because you're a Manchester United supporter. And my auntie Gayness, you know, she particularly contacted me the other day and said, make sure you ask Jazz about Manchester United. So have you supported Manchester United all your life, and why Manchester United, may I ask?
Yeah, so I don't think it was just like growing up with the family. All the family supported Man United, so naturally always watched them. I remember them, I was 9 years old, maybe 8 or 9, and remember watching them win the treble, and like I was like, this is the best thing ever. And like I used to play football, so I would like be that little kid like playing girls football like as a youngster, and I used to love it. But yeah, like it's just been obviously fan since I was young of Man United, and then yeah, I've filmed quite a lot of bits with them for Manchester United TV, and then after Rio I managed to go on the pitch at half time to give like a little wave.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward, like, because obviously everyone's going out to get your burgers, your drinks, this, and I'm on the pitch like waving. But
that's so cool though, Jazz.
Yeah, to be on the pitch, and like I could see Mourinho, and like it was Mourinho at the time, even though I much prefer it to be Solskjaer, to be honest.
Yeah.
But no, I've done a few bits with them for the TV stuff, and yeah, big fan. So looking forward to the semi-final on Sunday.
Oh yes, we're already planned where we're going to be watching it and all that. So yeah, no, but that's, I mean, like I said, we love that you're a United fan, so take that. But my next question from that, and I asked these to most of the athletes so far that have come on, if you didn't do the sport you do, so if you hadn't have swam, you just mentioned you played football, but what sport would you have done if you hadn't have swam, do you think?
Naturally, or if I had the choice, what would I pick to be good at?
Choice. If you had the choice, we'll go with.
Oh, I mean, I'd like to say something like a tennis, or even like gymnastics. I love to watch gymnastics. Gymnastics is like one of my favourite sports to watch, especially when the Olympics is on. I find it fascinating. And I used to do gymnastics as a young girl. And my mum and dad found they were going through some more paperwork and bits in the house over lockdown, actually. and it was results from a gymnastics competition that I did as a youngster. And I was like, oh, where did I come in this competition? And I'm like, going down. Literally, at the very bottom, there it was, last place at gymnastics. So naturally not very gifted, but yeah, I love watching it. So yeah, and obviously I love watching running and all that. I mean, 100-meter sprinter would be lovely as well, I think.
It would be lovely.
Short and sharp, you know?
Yeah, get over with, get out of there. All done.
Yeah.
Splash and dash.
In the pool for eight and a bit minutes. God, I'd be out there.
I actually, well, I did watch your, you say that, but I watched your 800-meter final the other day from Rio, just because I love it. The whole thing. And I was just going to say, even though it's one of the longer races in the pool, didn't even realise, flew by, loved it. So you say that, and I'm sure for you, being in there for 8 minutes is a long time, but for me watching, it's great.
I used to always feel bad because, like, the distance events, I feel like everyone, you know, people in the stands, they're like, oh, we've got to sit through like 4 or 5 heats of 800, and I used to feel terrible. Yeah. But obviously when it's your event, like, I love distance events, I love the endurance events, the tactics of it and all that kind of stuff. And obviously I did love all the training, it was tough, but I really liked it. It kind of challenged me and pushing myself. But yeah, out of choice, would I have done the sprint events? I would have preferred to have been better, but just naturally not very gifted in the sprint department.
Well, yeah, well, you know what, Jazz, your 800s were basically sprint pace for me anyway. So that's, you know, let's leave it at that. The next thing I wanted to ask you about was Swim with Jazz. So just tell us a little bit more about that, really, because it looks exciting. So go.
Yes. So I just like when I retired, I was like, had a bit of an idea, and I was like, when you get to the elite level in sport, you get access to kind of like the physios, the sports science, the gym, the like everything you can think of, the nutrition, telling you what to eat and all this. But like as a youngster, I had absolutely no idea what I should be eating before training or what I should do for my shoulder stability. So I was like, oh, well, I wanted to create like a platform and resources and all that for the kids that are growing up, but also any athlete really, because swimming's such a wide age range. So yeah, basically an online platform to give people all the support with all the things around your swimming. It's about what you do in the pool, and we will be having like events and things like that where members and things can come and meet all the team, the physio and things like that. So that'll be really exciting, but obviously it's on a bit of hold at the minute with everything going on. But no, it's been a bit crazy and a bit different. I guess when you come from such a structured routine of being an athlete, you know where you've got to be at every time during the week. Your year's planned out for you. So to go and then be in charge of my own and be able to do my own stuff, it is a big change, and it was something that I had to get used to. But I think now it's about getting the balance. And yeah, like obviously I go on the site and I'm doing the shoulder stuff. I'm doing all this kind of stuff especially during lockdown as well. It was trying to stay on top of all those little things. But yeah, just wanted to be able to support people really, to give people the help that they'll need to further their swimming. So that's it in a bit of a nutshell. Sorry, I talk about it quite a lot because I'm really passionate about it. So I'm like,
no, I love it, and no, share away. It's fantastic what you're doing. I love it, you know, and I love to keep up with all the posts, and the website looks great, and everything you're doing is great. So you know, feel free to talk away. It's awesome stuff, and it's nice to see, you know, the top guys give back. I love to see that because we get so much from it.
Yeah.
So to be able to give back and help out in a way is brilliant, really. So yeah, no, always proud to see a Swim with Jazz post or what you know what you're doing, Jazz. So, so the next question that I got in was the best venue you've ever raced in, or your favourite pool, basically.
Oh, I mean, I've been to a lot. I think obviously Rio, when the pool was up, like it was amazing, and I used to always get really excited. Like I don't know whether you were the same, but like walking into a new pool or a pool that you've never been in before, or even sometimes I used to just get it every time I used to race nationals at Ponds Forge in Sheffield as a youngster, and like walking through those doors and seeing the pool and everything and the lights and this, and like I used to get excited about it. So I've always loved that feeling that I get when I walk into a competition in a pool when it's dressed all nicely. So Rio was really special, I think. As a pool, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I guess because it's the Olympics and it's got that kind of feel of it anyway, probably added to it. The Gold Coast one for Commonwealth Games 2018 was really good too. Like the crowd was amazing, and that was outdoors. But I think that was a really nice pool as well. There's so many. I could write a book full of pools.
You could. I'm waiting for it, to be honest. I'm ready to pre-order it on Amazon. You should do that. Would you write a book? Is that something you do?
I mean, I've not considered it, but
yeah,
it would be. The thing that I struggle with is my memory's not the best. And like my mum would be like, remember that happened? And I was like, oh yeah. Or like someone would say to me. So like, I think I'd have to really write down everything down of the journey and everything. And
yeah.
I'd probably want to just read it myself, think, oh, that actually happened. And this happened, you know?
Memories would come back though. You'd get a load of stuff written down.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, I don't know. I would consider it, but never say never.
No, I think that would be great. People would love that story. I'm just going to look on the live stream like comments, because people have been putting. There's a few United fans, so that's great. I'm sorry to anyone who we offended who's not a United fan, but they are the best team. So what more can I say? So we got a question earlier, and it says, "Why did you retire?"
To be honest, it felt like the right time for me. I felt like I'd achieved everything I'd wanted to in the sport. And I guess when you get older and you do miss out on a lot of different things, friends' weddings, best friends this, and things, because you're so committed to the sport. And I'd given up a lot of, well, pretty much my whole life to it. And I wouldn't have changed it. I absolutely loved it. And I felt like I'd done everything I'd ever wanted to in the sport. So I felt like it was the right time for me to have me time and to discover like that new part of my life. So yeah, I think it would be difficult if it was taken out of my hands, whether it was funding, injury, or all that kind of stuff. But to be in charge of that decision, and actually it felt like the right one, even though I think the transition is still very tough, and I did struggle the few months after, no matter what, even though I was in charge of it. So it is a tough transition going from full-time athlete into the kind of working or normal world, because we see the normal world as like that athlete life, training all the time, traveling all these cool places. So yeah, it was luckily my decision, but yeah, very content with it.
Good. I'm glad. And you can see that, you know, you had an amazing career. Now you're on to do great things again. So it's always nice to see the transition, even though it's hard. To come out the other end and be doing something awesome, really. So we've had Jess Tealman comment saying, can you do an Audible book? Now I think that you could definitely, but I think Jess should actually do the audio part. That would be quite good
in the Georgian
accent. I would love it, yeah. Wouldn't you?
So my old coach Nutty,
yes,
he calls Jess meatballs or meatballs.
You mean nutty?
Random fact of the day.
Random fact of the day. Do you want to explain why, or do we just leave it there, meatballs?
I can't even remember. You know, my memory's terrible, but I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Jess might know.
Well, hopefully it would make it into the book anyway. So I'm going to throw loads of people under the bus here from your end, but and I asked Amy this last week and she struggled to answer, so I had to narrow it down a bit. But does it come to mind straight away, your favourite ever teammate?
Oh.
Does anyone come to mind? Now that's a big question because you've been on loads of teams and all that.
I think probably Liam Tancock has got to be up there. Like, just as like energy and like, I remember my first like world's team and he was on it and like just making me feel so comfortable at home. Yeah. And he just brings so much energy, always making me laugh, always making it fun, messing around, like, and just brought, even though you could be in quite a stressful or intense situation at an international competition and he's there like, da, 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 you know?
I always used to, just on Liam, I always used to see him before a race. And, you know, a lot of us would be panicking. Well, not panicking, but you need to have your suit on and all that. It'd be like 2 minutes before he's supposed to be on his race. He'd still be in his warm-up trunks, like, I'm just going to warm up.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, Liam.
Even with Liam, like, Liam would say, I'd be like, oh, how much are you doing in your race warm-up? Because I was a bit like OCD. Every warm-up had to be...
Oh, I used to do like 20K.
Every warm up used to be exactly the same. I used to do it all. I used to know it off by heart. And I go to Liam, oh, so what are you doing in your warm up? Oh, I don't know, just see how I feel. And he would just swim to see how he felt. And if he felt good, he'd just maybe do a little bit more. If he didn't, he'd just like do a few drills and get out. I'm like, I wish I could be so relaxed, but
he's brilliant teammate. Anyone else, or are you gonna throw everyone else under the bus?
Oh, it's difficult. I've had so many, Quigley, including you.
Well,
I don't know. I've had so many, and it's really difficult.
Yeah, it is a tough question, but I just like to throw it at people because it is hard.
Put the pressure on.
Yeah. No, brilliant. Liam Tancock's definitely one of a kind, an absolutely awesome person to have been able to be on a team with. So I definitely agree with that one. So the final question, Jazzy, is if you could switch from the 800 to any other event and get an Olympic silver medal, what event would it be?
Probably the 100 meters free, 50 or 100 meters free.
Okay, yeah. Splash and dash, get in, get it done.
Yeah, probably. I know it's painful, but it's shorter, you know, less time.
Yeah.
That's probably what I think. Oh, I do love the 200 free as well, but
yeah, but you were like, you did do 200 free, didn't you? Like, you were good at it. Oh, you mean you did? What was your 100 free PB in the end? I'm sure that was
57.01. Never managed to break that. But then in the 200, I used to go out in 57.8.
I know, it's mental, isn't it? It's absolutely mental. But nice. So sprint freestyler, then it would be.
I think so. Just shorter, sharper, you know.
Yeah, I get you. Well, thanks for coming on, Jazz. That's been really nice to have you on. Yeah, no worries. I'm sure people will have picked up some great stuff there, and just a great career to listen to. Man United fan, what more do you want out of Jazz? But thank you for everyone coming on and watching and saying hi. I see your comments. And if you're not live, then thanks for watching anyway. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, Jazz, and everyone else watching.
Oh, thank you. I can literally just smell my dinner. I'm like, oh.
What is it?
So I've like roasted some chicken, bit of spices with some vegetables around it.
Nice.
And I haven't really quite decided, maybe a bit of salad on the side. I haven't quite decided yet. We'll just go with it, but it smells lovely.
Excellent. Well, you'll have to let me know what you had with it. It sounds great.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, Jazz, and I'll speak to you soon. We'll have to have a catch up.
Yeah. Speak to you soon.
Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.